going on, people? We're back. It's myself and Lee Judges. No Henry, no Sean. There's only one guy to bring on, man. Deji's in the house. How you doing, Dej?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. I'm not too bad. Good to be here again. Yeah, man. I can't wait for the season to be over. To be honest with you, do you know what I mean? The quicker it's over, the better. But yeah, nah, I'm just kidding. No, it's a pleasure to be here. Good to see you, Lee. Good to see you, Dan.
Nah, big up, man. Thanks for joining us, mate. It's always a fun thing to have with you joining us. And to be honest with you, man, I just wanted to bring you on just for 25 minutes or so, just to talk to you about what your thoughts were of Ange and how his kind of reaction has kind of been left the Spurs fans feeling. Because I'm not going to say he come for Spurs fans. He just weren't happy with the way the whole club was around the game. And I think he's been seen, calling fans out or calling one of the fans out anyway for saying, chuck the game, chuck the game. I actually, if I was a Spurs fan, wouldn't mind it because I think it shows winning mentality, the ambition that he wants to win. So I want to see where you're at with it, Deji, with Ange Postecoglou and the reaction in the last 48 hours or so.
Yeah, Dan. Time to reflect. I mean, anyone who watched my watch along or my reaction after the game, I was very clear. For me, I played football. I didn't play pro or anything, but if you play any sport, you want to win. And if you can't win, you want to finish as high as possible. And whilst we had that game and we had Man City rattled in that first half, I wanted to get fourth, or at least still been in the conversation. Whether we get fourth or not is another story, but we need to be in and about. I totally agree with Postecoglou. Why would you want to lose against lose so that your rivals don't win the league? I don't give a shit about Arsenal. I don't care. I don't care what you've done. I don't care what you're doing. You do what you got to do. We do what we got to do. For me, I wanted us to a bit of momentum as well. Sometimes if you end the season poor, that can kind of follow you. That kind of vibe, that kind of feeling. So you want to try and get a positive result, so that maybe you take that into the beginning of the new season, and maybe we're able to kick on and do slightly better. But I think where Postecoglou was coming from in terms of the mentality of the club, I think some of the Spurs fans, if I'm being brutally honest, they're just not understanding what he's trying to do. I had a conversation with a very funny character yesterday who just wants to criticise Postecoglou, criticise the board. But if you watch that first half, we played well. If you listen to Pep, who knows his stuff, he was saying, trust this geezer, because if you do, he could have you playing some good football. Yeah? And the thing is, what we saw in that first half is the difference between Spurs and Man City in particular was the fact that, one, obviously they've got high quality players, but they're playing a style of football that is now second nature. It's instinctive. They know where to go. They know how to move. We're not instinctive yet. So you can see that our players were hesitating in certain times. But over time, the instinctiveness will come into the game. And that's part of the reason why he was saying that set pieces weren't a priority. His main priority at the moment is get the boys understanding the style of play, dominating the game, moving the ball into the channels, into the spaces that he wants them to move it. And then you will see over time Spurs, this system that he wants to play, start to dominate a game. A good friend of mine was talking about the fact that when you watch City play, one of the advantages of being instinctive is that you use less energy. So you can see that the Man City players, they can keep doing it. And if it doesn't work, they're quite happy to go back to the keeper and then start again. We're not in that space yet because we've just started our journey. So let the guy cook. Let him do his work. And things like you want to throw the game, you want to do this, you want to do that is a distraction. It's a distraction from the bigger picture. So no, I feel what Postecoglou was saying. It is a shame. I was joking about saying maybe Daniel Levy might have told him to throw the game, but it transpires people in the club were joking about maybe not winning the game, and he's probably thinking, "What? Do you know what I mean? Why would you make a joke like that? Why would you put someone who's literally worked from the ground up? Why would you put him in a position where people are going to question his integrity? That is just stupid. Why would you do that?" So for me, I can understand Postecoglou's anger. I can understand him being slightly disappointed in the fan base. You know, on one hand, we're criticising him for not adapting. You could see he was adapting Van de Ven out on the left. And then you're saying you want to chuck a game because of our rivals. It just don't make no sense. So for me, I wanted to win. I wanted to get fourth or get as close to it as we can. And I agree. All I'm hoping for now is over the summer, the Spurs fans keep faith. They take their time. And Daniel Levy does what he needs to do and he backs our gaffer to bring in the right players for us to kick on. But you know, I keep saying, and people shout me down, you know, it took Arteta 4 seasons, mate. Season 1, season 2, season 3, Arsenal fans were up in arms. But Edu showed faith, and now you guys are reaping the rewards. Whether you reap the rewards this season or not, you've shown progress, and that's something to be applauded. And that's all I want from my club, is to show progress and to show that, you know, we can be at the table playing with the big boys. But some of that stuff, it was stupid. And some Spurs fans, Sava, aka Sava, the biggest negative guy I've ever seen in my life. He just wants us to be in the mud and to stay in the mud, and I'm not in agreement with that.
Well, listen, you said a lot there, Dej. I didn't even know Sava was still about. I thought he'd stopped now, but I did used to do quite a lot of content with Sava. And he gets a lot of stick. He's kind of one of those Spurs fans who seems to kind of get a lot of stick, but big up to him, man. Lee, let me talk to you, man. Would you be, if this was the other way around and Arteta come out like Ange did, would you back Arteta? Would you back that? Would you back Ange for what he said and how he come out?
Yeah, because it's done and dusted now. I think at the end of the day, I understand why Spurs fans didn't want Arsenal to win that, but I also understand that there was a lot of Spurs fans and them as a club and them as players and all that want to get to the Champions League. I think if they would have beaten Manchester City on Tuesday, they would have got Champions League football. I think that they would have gone and beat Sheffield United. I don't think Aston Villa at this moment in time are in the form to go to Crystal Palace and get a result. But I ain't in the cool light of day that Tottenham fans will look at that and Ange as well and say that, you know, give them a bloody good game. They took it to Man City at times and made Man City nervous and. You know, I don't think they had a cutting edge. If I'll be honest, I think that Song had a poor game, and but if I was a Tottenham supporter, I think, you know, let bygones be bygones. I think you can understand it from the manager's point of view, and you can understand it from the supporters' point of view. I think, if I'll be really honest, I think the Spurs fans went a little bit overboard with it when you're cheering goals against your team. I would never have done that, but quietly, you know what I mean? Like, you would have just sort of said, oh, you know, all right, we've lost the game. The consolation is it's hindered Arsenal. I think that's how I would have looked at it if it was the other way round. But I certainly wouldn't be celebrating Arsenal losing a game of football. But also, I have to say, Dan, and you know, we've been very, very fortunate. We've never been in that position for it to happen. And I think that what happens now is that Spurs move on from that. It'd be a strange thing now is that if they was to go down against Sheffield United, just for instance, none of those Spurs fans are going to be cheering on that. You know what I mean? It's just a one-off situation that come in there. And I think Deji makes a magnificent point when he says about momentum of next season and all that. On this moment, in the record as it is that the last 6 games, Ange has lost 5. Now, say if he doesn't win against Sheffield United, just say, for instance, plays another 3 games next season. They pull out Chelsea away, Arsenal at home, and I don't know, Newcastle away, and they lose those 3 games. Not easy games. All of a sudden, it's 9 games, 10 games, 9 defeats and all that. That's sackable territory. So what all the fans going to turn around and go, oh no, it's only 8 because we lost one against Arsenal. You know, like, I will give him a bit of leeway on that. Will they heckers like? So from the manager's point of view, you've got to say, like, you know, it's on his record now, another defeat. I don't know how many defeats Spurs have had this season, but it's on his record now of his first season. Say it's 10 defeats, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's there in red and white, you know, or black and white, should I say. It's not good. So I get it from Pochecoglou. I can't say his name there. Postecoglou's fucking hell, get it out there. Ange, you know what I mean? That he's a winner, and I think that if I was a Spurs fan, I'll be really honest about this. I think that the last two managers were elite managers. Don't get me wrong; they were elite managers who really want to be at Tottenham. You know what I mean? It was like, oh well, like it's a good thing. But you've got a manager that desperately wants to be at the club and wants it to be successful. So why would you criticise that? That's how I would see it, like, you know. And listen, I don't watch Spurs that much. I was watching them and looking at them, you know, obviously hoping that they would get something. I was impressed with that performance, I have to say, you know. And I think what Ange was saying was that, and this is the difference, if that was Arsenal, that last 10 minutes, the fans might have got them over the line for a goal and maybe got them Champions League football. Because of the way the fans were, it didn't help the situation. I think that's all he's saying, like, you know what I mean?
Deji, let me ask you about Ange moving forward, because someone's just put in the link there. He's Liverpool and Man United, or it won't be Liverpool now, but Man United and other teams would be potentially looking at him. Are you worried that like he could do a Conte and just lose his head and go, or do you think that you'll be able to keep hold of him and Levy will be okay for the like near future, bruv?
Yeah, so one thing that we get with Postecoglou, and I think he said it in his press conferences before, is that he likes to finish off a job that he started. I don't think he's ever left the job halfway through. Usually he's won trophies before he's left the club and then moved on. And I think for him, because of his pride and because of his history, he would want to, or be aiming to, at least win a trophy before making that next step. But yeah, I think Spurs are at risk. But I feel like Postecoglou, you know, Lee said it right. He's quite happy. You know, when he walked into Spurs, he said, look, this is a wonderful place, biggest team he's had the chance to play, work for, all the facilities, everything off the pitch. He's playing with, working with these, really good players, and the potential to bring in even world-class players. There's no reason for him to want to leave. He wants to be around. I think what he wants also is for us, he wants the fan base to think about the bigger picture. Let's not get our knickers in a twist on season one. He's just got here. He's finding his feet in the toughest league in the world. And he's also learning a lot about his players. Rest assured, he's already said it. He's identified players already that Spurs want to bring in this summer. He's confirmed that. He's also said there's going to be some tough decisions being made. He said there's going to be good players. They're good players as individuals, but maybe they just don't quite fit his system and they have to go, So he's ready to do whatever is needed to get the team to move on. And there's been criticism of him talking about the fact that he reckons we're going to be in a title race, this and that. The thing is, he wants success. He wants to bring success to Spurs. And bloody hell, if he brings success to Spurs, he deserves whatever move next. He'll deserve the Liverpool job. He'll deserve the Real Madrid job. Do you know what I mean? He would deserve the Man City job because he's brought success to my club. So, yeah, I don't think he goes because of integrity. I think he wants to finish it off, but definitely, at least we minimum, I expect Postecoglou to do at least 3 seasons at Spurs, at least.
Do you think so, Lee? You think Ange should be the right guy?
No, I've said it. I don't think he'll be here by next season. I think
I think he will. I think he will. Lee, you said it yourself. You saw glimpses in the game against Man City where you thought, they're doing all right. Remember, we were missing a number of players. And remember, this ain't his squad. This is predominantly the squad he's inherited of Conte. A lot of people say, he inherited a better squad than what Arteta inherited. The truth is, we brought in players, in theory, in inverted commas, to play the Conte style of football. He now needs to bring in players that play his style of football. If he can do this with my club, with what he's got so far, I really think he can. I mean, I'm interested to hear what you've got to say. Yeah.
I've got no doubt about that. I just think like the pressure will mount. I think over the last few weeks, there's a little bit of spikiness to him. I think the pressure is taking a little bit. A lot of Spurs fans are not all of them. There's let's say a minority at the moment are turning on him and saying, look, if he doesn't change the style, we're going to get here and there. I think that you're right what you're saying. If he brings in 3 or 4 players next season, it's still the same things happening. I think the pressure will. Well, he's brought in his own players and it's still happening. That sort of thing. I'm not having a go at him or whatever. I think, but I just feel that there's something. Even like yesterday, despite this having a go at the fans and all that, like. And
you know what it boils down to, Lee. You know what it boils down to, Daniel Levy.
I think. Listen, he sacked Mourinho before a cup final because they didn't get top 4. If they're not going to get top 4 next season, and it doesn't look like that they will, they get rid. I hear what you're saying about good football and all that lot, but they will look at it this season. The board as look, we had a great chance to get top 4. They had the best start ever, that any other teams had, and not get there. And in the end, they'd fallen off a cliff. You know what I mean? Like at one stage, they was nailed on for Champions League, nailed on for it, and it's all gone a little bit pear-shaped. I think that he's got a little bit in the bank because of the way that he started and the way that they played and everything like that. But I do think that if they get off to a bad start next season, I think the pressure may be on him, So that's how I feel, And Spurs I give them they've got a. When it comes to the ball and things like that, they've got a mentality of like, if you ain't doing it, you're out. I don't think they'd be as tolerant as the Arsenal board. That's my opinion.
See, my opinion is slightly different. I actually think the opposite. I think we've, one of the reasons why we went through the kind of mess after Pochettino is, this kind of desperation to win a trophy where we literally sold our souls. And, that didn't yield any results. And so one of the things that I used to talk about is we say we're a big club. We brought in a big manager in Conte and Mourinho, managers, but then we weren't prepared to give them the resources for them to do their job properly. So I said, if you can't afford to give them the resources, if you're not ready to bring in a player of 100 mil, if you're not ready to bring in a Caicedo, if you're not ready to bring in a Declan Rice, then why are you even at the table? So what they've done is they've reverted back to form, which is, we're not going to spend big. Postecoglou is not going to spend big, mate.
No,
you're looking 40, 50 mil max. He's not going to, and that's what they want. Now, the question I'm saying is, if he's able to find the gems, Van de Ven was under 40 mil. Yeah, we managed to get Madders for 45 mil. If we're able to do similar business, find gems of 40 mil, under 50 mil, under this gaffer, there's no reason why they shouldn't give him time. Partly because also Pochettino was able to do that, to do what Spurs fans we never thought we would ever see. I never thought I'd see Spurs finish second, challenge for the league one season. I never thought I'll see my club in a Champions League final. It happened. And Postecoglou strikes me as someone who we might doubt him. Maybe he doesn't have the pedigree. Maybe, this and that. But he might actually pull out a surprise because, someone who's, I really do respect people who've had to fight he's fought his way to where he is, mate. And someone who's fought their way is not someone who's just going to back out easily or because of pressure going to walk away from this opportunity. This is his one opportunity to really make a name for himself. And I don't see him just walking away that easily from this. And I guess for me, I don't know. I just think Postecoglou is a fighter. He strikes me as a fighter. And if he is a bit spiky with the fan base, I like a manager with a bit of personality. Conte had personality. Conte was cussing the whole club. Do you know what I mean? So, at the end of the day, what you want to do is you want to see success. But for me, success is not sacking a manager every bloody 2 years. We're not going to move on. We're always going to be starting again. So we might as well give this guy time and see what happens.
Fair play, man. Listen, Deji, before we let you go, bro, because I know you're busy, just your thoughts on Arsenal. Obviously, the game of the season now, it looks like it's going to... I imagine both teams will win and won't be enough. Man City will win it, right? But I know you can't stand us. You hate our guts. I understand it, right? But what do you make of it? Do you think Arsenal could do something next year? Do you think with a good summer we can give them another go? Or do you see that this was the best chance for us, bro? What are you saying?
Yeah, so look, let's be real. I mean, and I say it because, you know, some Arsenal fans and, you know, League Gunner in particular, North Side will say if Arsenal don't win the league this season, Arteta should be gone. And I totally disagree. There's something about maybe you haven't won enough trophies, but are you showing progress? You are. If you're showing progress, if you're showing constant improvement, then that has to be applauded. Arsenal right now is legitimately a title-winning team. It pains me to say it, but you're a bloody fantastic team. Goals scored defensively. You can hardly put a foot wrong. You know, only a numpty would say, you know, anything otherwise than that. Arsenal are looking good, and it could be dangerous. The only thing for me that is slightly worrying, and people say, "Oh, you started again," is, you know, to finish second 2 seasons in a row. That's quite draining, because the players will be thinking to themselves, "What more have we got to do to get it over the line?" And even for a manager, it can be quite draining. The issue Spurs had, we got to the Champions League final and we were drained from that. And that's why we had a slow start. Pochettino was drained, players were drained, we had a slow start, and I think Levy was a bit trigger happy in getting rid of him so quickly. The question I have is, can Arsenal, if you don't win the league this season, can you find enough energy in the players? Can you find enough motivation in Arteta mentally? Because there's mental fatigue to to do another run. That's the bit that if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be afraid of. Have you got enough in the tank to do it? Because it takes a lot of mental power, physical power, do you know what I mean? Stamina to do 38 games. So I'm not sure. I think Arsenal need to win the league this season to really cement, because that will just be like, yep, we've done it, we can do it. That will be the drive. Man City will do what they do, and Arsenal, Man City can battle it out, because I don't think Liverpool will be there. But I am worried for Arsenal. I am worried because this could be it. We could see a drop-off next season. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's you buy a striker and you be up there. You might find that the boys lose form, and then all of a sudden, Arsenal are languishing around 4th, 5th in the league, simply because, you know, mental fatigue has crept in. Remember, we got the Euros in the summer as well. All of that is going to have a part to play. And maybe you guys just don't hit the ground running the same way. So this is the best time. You know, I said that on another show, I said, Carpe Diem, seize the day. Your day is now. If you leave it till tomorrow, tomorrow might never come. And that's my advice to the Arsenal fan base.
There we go, man. Deji, talking sense, man. I've got to say. I like it. Listen, man, we'll let you get out of here, man, because I know you've been, but you're absolutely legend for coming on, man.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Okay.
Cheers.
Come on, man. Big up, man. Big up.
He speaks a lot of sense here. A lot of sense.
He has, man. I can't lie. And listen, I'm a fan of Deji. I know he don't always talk sense, and he can
but
he's a Spurs fan. He was very sensible tonight, which is good, man. Big up to Deji. Make sure you go follow Deji Spurs, yeah, because he started his own channel now, and it's really good content, and he's flying. So make sure you head over to Deji Spurs. Lee, a link today before we get into Everton this weekend with Benjamin Sesko, the RB Leipzig striker. 20 years old, maybe just turned 21 or around that. He's got 13 goals this season. At Salzburg, he was absolutely bagging them in. He's very, very highly thought of, and he's a prospect. Is that what we need at Arsenal, or do we need someone who's ready-made now? What do you make of that link is what I'm getting at.
I get it. I get it, you know, I mean, because it would say like that Havertz will be like the main guy and he'll come in and all that, like, you know. But I don't really want to see Havertz going anywhere else but where he is now. So I do think that they may go down that route. You know, it would be a good move. But I do think if we are to go for a striker and spend a lot of money, it's got to be someone that's not guaranteeing you 20 goals, but you know that's going to get near enough. That, you know, the out and out striker that you need. I was talking to a Spurs fan today, like, you know, over at football, and it's true what he said. Like, you know, he goes, "We played well, but they had Haaland, and he done nothing but two chances he gets it." Now I know, like, it was a tapping and all that, but the movement to get there and all that, he's there, isn't he? I think at times, how many times does the ball go across the park and flash across the box, and so I get that is there. So I see where we're going to go with this. I think at the end of the day, we need to buy big on a couple of players. I don't think the striking issue is the major problem on the on the whole spectrum. But when you're playing Bayern Munich's and you're playing the Real Madrids and you're playing the Manchester Cities, I do think that's very, very important. That one chance, one goal sort of syndrome. So I'll be really interested to see where they go with that one. I will. I do think that we need to. Deji makes a good point about what happens next season and all that. Like, on a personal note, from myself, I don't know how you feel. I can't wait for next season to start again. I'm really up for it. Like what I've seen this season, yes, we need a break, but like there's been seasons when I think, I don't really want the football season to start. Bring it on again. All the drama of it, all the nervousness and all that. Like I want it again. I loved it. Like I have to say that. Like for the first time on Sunday, I'm going to a game where that you can kid yourself if you think there's saying on it, but by the time you sit by half time, it'll be over. So I just want to go there and enjoy a Arsenal play. I haven't really been able to do that, Dan. There's been a lot of pressure on every bloody game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
But I am going to go there and just enjoy the game on Sunday. But I do think we need to freshen up on a couple of places, because you have a look at our two best players, Dan, are Declan Rice and Saliba. You can argue about other players, Odegaard and all that, but Declan Rice has only missed 45 minutes of football in the Premier League so far, and Saliba none. Now, they might get injured, in the Euros, as Deji said there, so we need to have proper replacements back in there, So I do want to see something there. Be really interested to see what we do with the fullback situation with Tierney and Zinchenko. Do we sell them or keep them? Do we go down that route? But I do think that another big money signing. I know, like with Tottenham, they've got to spend 200-300 million, to get that. We've got to spend 200 million, but on two players or three. You know what I mean? Like not 4 or 5. You know what I mean? Like I think that there won't be too much business this season as far as ins coming. It'd be 3 big players, I think, maybe 4 of a backup or whatever, and there'd be a lot going out. But I think if we can get in 3 top players, and whoever they are, I don't care. And listen, if they go for SESKO, that's the one they want to go for. It wouldn't be my choice, if I'd be honest. I'd go with someone with a little bit more experience. For me, like I'd still look at Vlahovic or someone like that. ISAK would be the ideal one, because I think he can play up front and wide. You know what I mean? I do think we need to bring in a wide player. I really do. As it's just been said there, a backup for Saka. I think that is something that I think we're desperate for. But
Grealish, people keep saying it might be off. But
I would look at that. At the end of the day, Dan, it's going to be very hard to say to someone 60 million, 70 million pound player. I don't know who that is. Just say if it is Grealish, we'll use him as an example, but I'm not saying it is.
Or Elise. All
right, then we'll say it's Elise. So, come to Arsenal, but you're not going to be regular.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
It's very, very hard, If you say like to a 60 million pound, 70 million pound midfield player, you can come and play at the Arsenal, you're going to get regular game. If you was a centre half, really, you're going to turn around and say, well, where am I going to play? Well, you're going to back up Gabriel and Saliba. I don't know if I fancy that when I can get regular football somewhere else. So it's going to be very, very difficult to where they go. I don't know where they're going to go. I've said it before. There's a couple of clubs that need to sell. Chelsea need to sell. I don't know if you take any of their players there. Nottingham Forest have got to sell players. Gibbs White is one that maybe that can come in there. But also we've got a couple of little bargain tools, Dan. You know what I mean? Smith Rowe he's a bargain tool. You know, he's still a quality player, Smith Rowe. You know, and also Eddie Nelson. They're players that can be, you know, say for instance, I'm just, you know, saying if it's going to be Eze or someone like that, you can say, well, you can have Nelson in and Eddie as well in the deal. There's certain things you can do, or Smith Rowe. So, you know, like someone like Smith Rowe would blossom in a team like Crystal Palace, like Gallagher did a couple of years ago for him, like, you know. So we've got a couple of bargain things. And when you look at those players, Smith Rowe, Nelson, Eddie, them two in particular, where have they been the last 4, 5, 6 games? Not been really in it then.
No
so
trust. Yeah.
So, you know, there's bargaining tools, you know what I mean? Like,
well, listen, let's listen, there's well over 400 people in here. So first of all, people, let's get the likes up because we're not even at 100 yet. So let's make sure that we hit the like button and then come back in the chat once you've hit like and subscribe, and then put some questions in there because we do want to talk about it. But before we do go back to what we might do in the summer, because that is what I want to come to. So make sure you get in your questions in the chat, people. I'll try and star as many as I can. Make sure that you put a super chat in or a Q at the front so that I know it's a question, and then it's easier for me to see and star. Let me share this because this has just been put on Twitter. It did make me laugh, and I'm hoping that, of course, with all my might, that something might happen at the weekend that's crazy. But Mohamed Kudus has come out and said, I think I've had an incredible first season here, and our last game of the season means a lot to us. I've got something for my Ghanaian brother, Thomas Partey. He might be lifting the league trophy with Arsenal. Now, Michael Antonio has come out in a podcast and said that we'd be all up for giving Manchester City a right good game. I'm not getting my hopes up, Lee, because I've accepted that we're probably not going to win the league this season. But when I see quotes like that, it just makes you realise that anything can happen in football. And do you think the unthinkable could happen? And could we be going there on Sunday, lifting the trophy? I had to ask it, bro.
Listen, it's true. Someone said today and reminded me today that West Ham have helped us out on 2 occasions. Back in '89 when we won the league at Anfield, they lost 5-1 to Liverpool. You might say 5-1 to Liverpool. Well, if they didn't get that one goal, we'd have had to win 3-0 against Liverpool. So they helped us. And they also helped us, don't forget, in the lasagna gate. Do you remember when we were against Tottenham that day? I know that they hate Tottenham and everything like that. But my West Ham mate, Mark, I'm going to give him a big plug, phoned me up he messaged me and turned around and said, nothing would give me more pleasure than beating those cheating, horrible, oil-ridden, northern, I won't say what else he said, right? But unfortunately, we're not good enough to do it. And I get that, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure West Ham will go there and give it a real good go and all that, like, you know. And listen, it could happen, but they'll have to do exactly what they've done against us. Smash and grab and then, like, you know, have chance after chance after chance. The goalkeeper's got to throw one in or something like that, and a wonder shot or something. And, you know, maybe Rodri gets sent off after 3 minutes, De Bruyne after 10. And Stone's getting, you know, into a punch up with the goalkeeper, so they're down to 8 players. It might happen, but I don't think that it will. Like, you know what I mean? So, but listen, you have to think this of it all. I know, like, you got West Ham fans. I don't know how West Ham fans feel about that. They're going to go all the way to Manchester to watch their team lose. Do they really want that? It's all right if they're at home and whatever. Like, all those West Ham fans, you know, are all going to go up there, and, you know, all right, Arsenal might win the league, but if I was, I don't want to see a parade of when I'm there. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, what I mean, I'd love to be a party pooper and smash that up. If I'll be honest, as a fan, but I don't think it's going to happen, in my opinion. But you never know. And listen. There's a lot of narratives from it and all that, like, you know, West Ham, as I said, have done that before. David Moyes and Arteta are, you know, there's a lot of respect between them two, like, you know, so that might have something to do with it. David Moyes' last game, and players want to go out on a bang as well, like, you know, so it could certainly happen. But I just think that Tottenham give it their best shot and play really, really well on Tuesday night, and they wasn't quite good enough on the night to beat them. You know, Tottenham are, unfortunately are a better team than West Ham.
Yeah, listen, I agree with you. I happen to believe, if I had to put my money on it, that it will be a comfortable victory for both Manchester City and Arsenal.
Yeah.
And I think that we will both probably talk to each other afterwards and go, that's what we expected. But wouldn't it be amazing to have it come through the news that they've gone 1-0 down? What would that do in the ground? Do you know what I mean? And listen, that could happen and they'll probably win 4-1. But I just kind of want that, Lee. I want that little bit of glimmer.
You want a little bit of hope at the end of it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you now, I'll give you a scenario, right? 20 minutes to go, and it comes through that Manchester City 0, West Ham 1, right? And we're winning 3-0. Would you leave that game to go in the concourse to watch the other game, or would you stick it out?
Cool, that's a good question. How long's left?
20 minutes. We're 3-0 up. Kai Havertz just smashed in the goals, made it 3-0.
I think I would, because I'm not leaving the team that are struggling. I'm accepting that we've comfortably won the game, and I'm going to go and see if we can be champions. Yeah, I think I would, Would you?
Yeah, I think I would.
It's a great question, isn't it?
I think I would, you know what I mean? Because it'd be our game's done. And, yeah, and then, like, it'd be it's a weird situation, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? That's why it's a great thing to be winning in the position of winning. Like, that if it was, if you're winning 2-0, it don't matter what's going on in that other game. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I suppose I would. And yeah.
Would Arteta? That's a good question.
Yeah, well, would they? But they could be pretend to be looking at the game and looking at the other game, couldn't they? I don't know. What would they? I don't. You still got to see out the game, but like, we'll have to. It's a weird thing, isn't it? Like,
what they should do is they should put the game on one screen live, like the team sheet and the game and all that, and then the other West Ham Man City game on the other screen in the stadium. That's what they should do.
yeah. The players might stop.
That's true. Yeah,
goals,
that would be too distracting, wouldn't it? Yeah, it would be. Listen, it had to be. It's a good question, to be fair. Listen, let's get some of these questions in. We're going to do the super chats first. We've got a couple. This one comes in from AMT. That logic is false. After the Invincibles, did we win the Premier League? What's the meaning there? Have I missed this? Is this something Deji had said? Let us know.
In 2003, we missed it by a point or so, didn't we? And then we went on to become the Invincibles. Also, don't forget, if Declan Rice wins the Premier League, they get a load of, a bonus. West Ham.
They do get money. That's
5 million.
Yeah, they do get money. Next super chat comes in from Palmsy and says, who could you see buying Zinchenko? I'm struggling to think maybe Leicester. Do you think this player is going to go, Lee? Because a lot of people are talking about Zinchenko. Do you think that he's going to stay at Arsenal and be that kind of rotated option at inverted left back?
Yeah, I do. I think a lot of negative stuff about Zinchenko. I think that he had a bit of a calf injury at the beginning of the season, didn't do no pre-season. No, I think he'll be there, and it'll be important to us next season. I really do.
Yeah, no, fair play. Let's take a look at the next one. Where are we? Okay, this is from Nando the Gunner. Dan and Judges, you have 200 million plus players for sale. Let's say 300 million. Who would you buy? Oh, wow. Need to think about this a bit better. If I had 300 million, who would I buy? I would buy Bruno Guimaraes. I would buy. This is realistic, so I don't think ISAK's going to come. Out of the striker options, I would buy either Ivan Toney or Victor Gyökeres. Then I would buy Michael Olise. That's free. I would buy Diamande, centre half. And that will probably be about it, because I don't think I'll have much more money after that. But if I did have more money, then I'd look to try and get Xavi Simons. But that's me. Any of those names you like?
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with any of them. Like, you know, all good players. Bruno Guimaraes would be one that I definitely like. I would. I'd still look to strengthen the squad as well with people like a Gibbs White or someone like that. I really would. I'd get a Grealish in as well.
Oh, like it. Trying to think £300 million actually a hell of a lot of money, because I was thinking we wouldn't have much money for all them players, but actually you would, because Diamande's about probably 35. Obviously Gyökeres has got an 84 million release clause. Bruno, they're between 80 and 100, so that's the most expensive one. So you're not even at what you at there, not even at 200, just over 200 there. So you've got another 100 million to spend. That's mad. And Elise is about 60. And then, Xavi Simons, maybe 50 million, I reckon you can get him for. So, maybe you're just over 300 million with what I've said. That's mad. I thought I was going to be miles over there, but that's about right. No, listen, I like those. I do. I like those. Keep Raya or not, Lee? Looks like we're going to keep him.
Well, he's not our player at the moment, but they're definitely going to keep Raya. Like, I look at Raya and I like, he doesn't have a lot to do because of our defence and all that, like, and he had a very good game at Man United. So I think that I ain't going to argue with Arteta. If that's the one he wants, then I'll back it. I still don't think it's right what they done to Ramsdale. I still stick by that. I don't think there's much of a difference. But at the end of it, proof's in the pudding. We're challenging. So.
Well, listen, Raya looks like he's going to be an Arsenal player, and I imagine he'll be the number one. Wouldn't surprise me if somebody like Wojciech Szczesny was to come in as backup and we sell Ramsdale. Would not surprise me at all. I'm a real gooner says, would you guys go back in for Rafinha? Obviously, he's at Barcelona. They're saying he's unsettled. I would prefer Elise or Pedro Neto, but Rafinha is a very good player.
Yeah, I liked him, but chose Barcelona over Arsenal, so ship sailed as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. This next one comes in. I think it's a good question, actually, from Bijon, who says, is the loan for Smith Rowe not an option? Would you think we could loan him out? Do you think it's time that he went and...
Who's that?
Smith Rowe.
No, time to sell.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And it's got nothing to do with him being English, by the way. Ramsdale, you twat. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I don't agree with the Ramsdale situation because I felt that he deserved a chance to play Champions League football for what he'd done last season. But it's got nothing to do with his English. All right? I'm not that patriotic about players. If they're good enough, I don't care where they come from. My favourite player is Martinelli, and he's Brazilian.
There we go. Listen, I think Smith Rowe has definitely got to go and try and resurrect his career. If I could only pick one to leave out of Vieira or Smith Rowe, I would rather sell Vieira because I think Smith Rowe's better for one, and I think he's come from Ireland and he loves the club. Vieira for me just ain't going to happen.
I'm not going to argue that, but I think they'll keep one of them. But I don't think. I think if you've got the choice, you sell Smith Rowe because of that fair play thing, you know what I mean? Because he's come from. That's the only reason I think.
Yeah, 100% profit. Yeah, no, I'm with you. This one says I'd prefer Eze over Elise. I like both. I think they're absolute ballers. But I look at what Elise has done. 10 goals, 5 assists. He's been injured most of the season.
I like him.
Phenomenal, mate. He looks phenomenal.
Yeah. I do like. As I say, the only trouble with them two is will they come and be backups? That's the only thing. Or will they back them?
I said this earlier actually on my channel because I was a Palace fan on, and I said, look, if you're going to lose Elise, what do you reckon? He went, well, I don't think he should go Man United. We laughed. He said, but if Salah goes, he'd go Liverpool. If Chelsea, City, and Arsenal are all in for him, he's probably going to look to go play first team football. Because if he went to Arsenal, £60 million, yet you can't get in the team they make because Saka's here. That's not good for him. So it's a good question. That's why I don't think we'll get him.
I will say this. I don't know if you've seen the interview with Nigel Winterburn that was going about today. When he turned around and said, when he signed for Arsenal, Kenny Sampson was at the club.
Okay, yeah.
And he felt, well, I'm not going to get in, but he said, no, I'm going to back myself to give it a go. So, you know, it depends. Like, you know, if you've got that mentality, then maybe, like, you know. So, you know, like, will you back it? And that's a very, very important thing. Like, you know, he can play on either wing as he says as well. Like, you know, so yeah. You know, like, don't forget, like, another thing is that the likes of Elise and people like that, Aston Villa could come into the equation now with Champions League football.
Yeah.
There's you know, but they're going to be in for players as well, like, you know. And there's a very, very good point someone just made that Raya could be involved in the Olympics, can't he, like, because he's the backup goalkeeper or something. There's talk. I hope Arsenal stop that because I don't want to be. Yeah, I heard a little rumor today about that. Like, you know, now if that's the case, I think it's in August that you know, it was during the Olympics, which I think is in August, back end of August, September. So we'd miss him for 4 or 5 games. So what would we do if we sell Ramsdale for that? So hopefully that won't come to fruition.
I hope you don't go to that. Jesus Christ, I hope you don't go to that. Let's be real. Big up to Curtis. Make sure you're going and following Curtis Shaw TV. If you're not, sure you all are. If you're not, make sure that you
top
are.
Guy.
Yeah, legend, man. Love Curtis. Gotta love Curtis, man. Big
Funny
up to him,
guy, but
he
don't
is,
always approve of his takes. But,
he's a real one for me, man. He says it.
Great guy.
Great lad, man.
Now, if you ain't seen his reaction to when Song scores,
it's class. Yeah, it's class. We all felt it.
Class.
We all felt it. We all felt
absolute
that.
class. He was one that showed his emotion. It was excellent.
Yeah, absolutely, it was, man. This next one comes in, says if we sell Smith Rowe and Ketia and Nelson, that should get us at least 60 million. Like, I was looking at a link the other day, Lee, to Ipswich, that we're looking at these players. Now, that might be quite an ambitious move. I'd be bloody good signings for him, if I'm honest with you.
Very good signings for him, but I do worry about this thing about you've got to have so many English players.
Homegrown players, yeah.
You know, we've got to be a little bit careful about that, like, you know what I mean? So
yeah, no, interesting, man. Very, very good point. Last few questions before we wrap up. This one comes in from Nando the Gunner. Says, Dan and Judges, if you could or had the option to sell or loan, would you loan Ramsdale instead of selling him, or would you straight sell him? Godly.
I think he's going to want to be sold, if I'll be honest. Depending where he goes, there will be a few options out for him. I think Chelsea, Newcastle, definitely too. Manchester United, I think, could be an option for him as well. Will I loan him? Not. What is the point of loaning him? If I'll be really honest, if Raya's not that old, and Raya's number one, why would you?
I agree.
What would be the sense in it?
What are we doing? Like, do you know what I mean?
Like, that would be my thing about it. Like,
yeah, fair play. What are we going with next? This next one comes in from King Rapid. Said, would you keep Jesus as backup right winger and then sign a first team striker? That is exactly what I would do. All this talk about Jesus being sold, I don't get it. Personally, that's a squad player for me, and that's someone who plays in a number of positions. But for me, if you're going to have one thing now and say to me, Dan, you can only bring in one player, a striker or a right winger, I'm buying a striker and I'm using Jesus and Saka as the right wingers.
Yes, I 100% go along with that. And also with Jesus, I think, you know, it's not a good thing for him, but it's a good thing for Arsenal that he's not been picked in the Cup of America. That means he can have a nice break, rest that knee and come back flying, you know what I mean, like with a proper pre-season. Don't forget last season, again, another one that started pre-season, had to stop it because of injury. So he can have a good pre-season, nice rest, and I think he'll come back, hopefully, a lot sharper than what he has this season.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. I just hope that all I'll say is Jesus gets the next year for me to prove he can stay fit, and if he can't, it might be time to sell. Yeah, that's all I would say. Great. Because, you know, the best ability is availability, isn't it? Let's look at this one next. It says, if we sign Bruno G and ISAK, but no one else, would you take that? Listen, Bruno G and ISAK are not going to leave both of them to come to Arsenal, but if they did, That is our first 11 sorted. Now, the rest of the team, maybe not so much. But at least with that, you would have Jorginho and Partey as backup, and you would have Havertz on the bench with Trossard, Martinelli, Saka, Jesus. So it would strengthen it, definitely. But we need more than just them two, in my opinion. But those two are the sort of signings that we need, in my opinion, to take us to that next level. What we got here, this is a very strange one, isn't it? Lee, you're picking the Man City team against West Ham at the weekend. You can drop Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne, Silva, and play Dan, Robbie, and Julian. There we go. Quite a fun question, that one.
I'll take that, like, you know what I mean? Wouldn't it be great if they had Lasagna Gate again and, like, you know, there's been they're all ill, like, Haaland's not playing, De Bruyne's not playing, like, you know, but it would be lovely, you know what I mean? But it ain't going to happen.
Absolutely it would, man. Absolutely it would. This one comes in from Serge. He says, what would you rate Eddie Nketiah's career at Arsenal as?
Listen, he's played for Arsenal. He's played for England. So he's done okay. He's done well with the talent that he's got. And he's done well for us last season. But if you want to win titles and you want to win Champions League, then Eddie's not in that level. As some of the players that we have are as well. Like, you know, we bought players to get us to a certain standard and level. And, you know, unfortunately, the bus now comes to a stop for Eddie, and he has to jump off because that's how it is. That's how football is. He's not an elite striker. And unfortunately, that the level that we want to go to, that's it. But I think he should be very, very proud of the career he's had at Arsenal, because he's done, you know, he's done well. He's done well.
Fair play, man. Fair play. Last question is, before we close, Vindaloo, if Arteta wins nothing next season, do we let him go? A lot of people were talking about next season already, Lee. We don't know what's happening this season yet, but I understand what the question is, and I understand it. I think it's going to be a horrible conversation to have again, as it always is. I do think there will be a question after next season is, okay, when is it going to happen then? And I think that's the question we have is, do we then go, do you know what? He's done a phenomenal job to get us challenging. Do we need a manager that can get us across the line? Or do we keep backing this guy until he gets it right for us? And I think that's the question you've got to have. And there'll be a very mixed bag of opinions of that. And I think there'll be a lot of people that want to stick by him because of what he's done. There'll be a lot of people that will say, yes, we believe in him and he will get over the line. We just need Pep to go, or it's just Man City. There'll also be a lot of people that believe that he just isn't going to happen for us and we need to get another manager in to get us across the line. So I don't really know how to answer that one because it's too far ahead, Lee, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it's too far ahead, like, and I'll tell you what, someone just said there, if West Ham get points, will you eat a fillet of fish? I'll eat 2 fillets of fish.
I'll eat 12 if you want. I'll
eat as many as I can, like, you know what I mean, on the podcast. I'll do as many as I can.
I'll tell you what, between us, we'll eat 115. There you go.
There you go. Like, yeah, exactly. Like,
we'll eat 115 fillet of fishes between us.
Yeah, I will have a fillet of fish if Arsenal win the, and we'll get them and we'll eat them on the podcast. There you go. Like that, mate. But I think if Arsenal finish second and done the season that we have done this season, depending on what's happened in the cups, you know, I think he has to do a little bit better in cup competitions. I have to say that, and then let's see where we are in the context of it all, like next season. But listen, I think he's done fantastically well. I need to address this.
Go on.
I don't think that he should be sacked this season. I don't think if fans feel that they feel that he should be, that's their prerogative. That's their opinion. Yeah. I ain't gonna go, oh, you're a CUNC because you support you don't want to do that and all that. Like, up to you, mate. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to not have him as manager and all that, like, you know, it's everybody's got an opinion. And I you know, when they was 10th in the league and bottom of the league, come that, you know, when we went to Man City and lost 4-0 or 5-0. If I was a board member and they would have said to me, shall we sack him? I would have said yes, because I don't think he's good enough. But he's proved me wrong. And I'm happy that he's proved me wrong.
He's proved a lot. Me and you, I remember doing shows. It's horrible coming on here, Lee. Horrible. we were thinking, I want him gone. This is awful. We're losing to bloody everyone. But I remember in 2013-14 when Gerrard slipped and Brendan Rodgers would have won the league if it weren't for that slip. And there was Liverpool fans saying, get him out. He's not going to get us across the line. And they got Klopp in, and everyone that was calling people see you next Tuesdays for wanting Rodgers out were now singing Klopp's praises. He's gone down as a legend. So you don't know what's happening next. You don't know what around the corner is. You really don't.
No.
You know,
And that's why you've got to trust the ball to make the right decisions.
100%.
And listen, I don't think it's right that you should be wanting to have managers sacked all the time. Like, I know that I've done it, you know what I mean, because of that frustration and all that. But really, when you look at it, Arsenal are not a sacking club. You know, if you go back to all the managers they've given them good opportunities, and so you know they've always backed managers, and they will continue to do that. Like, you know, and listen, as I say, you're playing against a team that's won a treble last season. It'll probably win the double this season, and you expect them to win trophies. You know,
Absolutely.
Leeds 4-0. Is that right, Jay? Leeds are 4-0.
Well, this is a nice little segue because this will redirect into my good friend Just Joe, who is doing the Leeds watch along, and I please beg you to go and watch him. He is by far one of my favourite content creators. Big up to Mark Johnny as well. Wembley Bound Potts, he's obviously a big fan of Just Joe as well. Just Joe was on my show all last season as a Leeds fan, and he was begging to come back on this year, and I'm hoping that Leeds can do it. I really do.
I'm in the Leeds camp. Big club.
100%.
Magnificent atmosphere up there at Leeds. Dirty Leeds United.
Dirty Leeds. And as Chris says, Joe is unreal. He is honestly one of my favourite content creators. Make sure you do me a favour as well, because it's going to redirect here.
Go on. We're redirected to there. It's going to be they're 4-0 up.
They're 4-0
Congratulations
up. Send all of our audience over there. Do me a favour. Say up Potts and Judges. Say up the Leeds. That's all you got to do. Yeah, stick it into the comments first. Judges and Potts say up the Leeds, and then make sure that he knows that you've come over from here. And that's, of course, after you've liked and subscribed to us. But it will send you over to him. Lee, I'll let you see him out.
Yeah, look, get over there and watch Leeds, you know. And don't forget, like, you know, if I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning. I'd hammer in the evening. All over City. Come on. Have a good weekend, guys.